Hi, Mr. Larijani. I'm Peter Zamaya. Pleasure
Hi,
to meet you.
pleasure meeting you.
Please come on into my office here. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Great. Well, we appreciate you coming down here to Ocular. As you know, we're a growing company. We're a multinational, and we're looking for somebody to handle all of our compensation work throughout all of our regions and try to combine a lot of our areas to enhance our company and to make us run better, more efficient. Why don't you first start off by telling me a little bit about yourself and about your background?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Larijani, and I really appreciate the time. I'm an expert. I've got a lot of expertise in the area of human resources, particularly in the area of compensation, design, development, implementation, salary administration. And also, I have managed staffing groups for recruiting, sourcing, and placement of professionals and also temporary personnel. And my objective is to contribute to the organization, whatever organization I go into, specifically Ocular is very, very interesting to me because it's pretty much aligned with my objectives of being multinational, and I have good experience in there, and contribute to the bottom line and take your HR organization to the next level with your help.
Okay, very good. I see you worked at Gulf Fujitsu Business Systems. Are you currently working for them right now?
No, I was laid off about 4 weeks ago. The company was going through some major financial problems, and it was we had to make a decision, and we had to reduce our headcount by over 100 people, and I think that was the right decision. Hopefully, there will be enough savings out of that reduction in force so that they can move ahead.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were the human resources manager over there. Did you have to fire yourself?
Well, actually, I reported to my boss, who is the senior VP of Information Systems and Human Resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so they cut back 5 people out of Fujitsu Human Resources Department, and out of the 5, I was one of them. 4 others were reporting to me.
I see. I see. Now, the business system side is what products are those?
They are in business communications, mostly PBX, internet, and also LAN, WAN, networking capabilities. We do get involved with some transit, like cables and fiber optics and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that your boss was the director over at the IS also, the Information Services. What was his name?
Her name is Miss Martha Barrera.
Okay. And tell me how you liked working for Martha.
I liked working for her very much. We worked together for 10 years. We had a very good rapport. She's a very hands-off manager, mm-hmm. and you pretty much run your own organization. And the communication was mostly from bottom up, and I was the one who would communicate with her and always provided her all the necessary information that she needed.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, if they decided to reopen that position that you had there, is that a place you'd go back to?
Not under the current circumstances. If there is pretty good infusion of dollars where we can go to the next phase and get out of the PBX business and more into the internet, voice over IP, and perhaps some convergence products, yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So you feel that their product line is pretty much peaked out at this point?
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Yes. They're working with the hybrid systems at this point.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about a large problem that you may have had at your past position and how you would have resolved it.
One of the biggest problems we had goes into the infrastructure of the systems, and we never could afford to bring in an ERP system, and there was a lot of information within human resources that was significant for the top management to review and make their decisions of where the organization needs to go. Every organization's success is based upon its product and its management. So in terms of management, we could have helped if we had provided a lot of this information or statistics of what kind of people we have hired, what kind of skills they have, do skills inventory, what kind of training we need to put together for them, and so forth. And we never had an ERP system, and we were still on the ADP, which was a relational database, DOS-based system. So limited in how much information we could extract out of the ADP, put it into Excel, and do the spreadsheets and so forth. And there were many times that the CEO in the past, 20 years I've been there, would come to us and say, I need a report of how many salespeople we lost in the last 2 months. What kind of quota did they have? How much did they make? What kind of background they brought into the organization? Who were their prospects and so forth? And that information just was not available readily. So that was a main issue. So what we tried to do, and what I propose, is that we manually start inputting a lot of this information into the Excel, and then those parts of the information which was automated through ADP, we would export and explode it into the PC, into the Excel, and keep it up to date. Now, it did require more man-hour, but it did provide some of the information.
How do you feel that that benefited the company?
Well, the reports would go to the top management. We would do analysis on it, and that in turn helped me because I was the department head for recruiting. So I would then go to the field hiring managers and let them know and coach them and counsel them in the kind of people that we need so that it would better fit our organization. And together we made better decisions.
Okay. Tell me about 3 of your characteristics that would make you well suited for this position.
Thank you for that question. That's really significant. I've thought about it a lot. I was born in Iran. I was educated in England. I traveled all over Europe and Asia, and landed in the United States about 25, 30 years ago. And so I've got a very broad international knowledge. I'm good with people. I'm good with cultures, and with I'm genuinely interested in people, where they come from and what they do and so forth. So that gives me definitely an edge dealing with your international groups, whether they're in Puerto Rico or France or in England. I have done international recruiting and compensation, so I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with the organizations that do provide a lot of the information in terms of competitive compensation and salaries. So that's another advantage here. And also I speak some French. I do read and write, and also fluent in Farsi, which may come handy.
Very good, very good. Now, going into different countries, how would you go about finding salary information to help you design your plans?
Good question. We've been through this a number of times. I was with AT&T, and they sent me over to Middle East. We went through the same process. The first thing we did was find out who are the reputable consulting firms and what kind of surveys are available. That's one source, which was probably the most valid source. Government had some source of information for the third country national compensation. And then on the international side, we used UNESCO had some information. We used that. But mostly it was the consulting firms, the international consulting firms, that was doing the studies, and we had to participate and, of course, pay for it. But the results were very good for us.
Okay. You have an acronym on your resume here, HRIS. What is that?
Human Resources Information Systems.
Okay, so that's just exactly what I thought it was. Let's see here. Tell me about your greatest accomplishment that you had at your past position.
Last year, my team and myself, we hired 350 people at Fujitsu. And this was national, all over the country. We had to hire these people on time. If you recall, last year was a very, very competitive year for all kinds of positions. The economy was great, the business was great, and we actually had to do some international travel to bring some people on board, got involved with the H-1B visas and all of that, but we're able to staff up completely within 10 months actually beat the target by a couple of months, bringing all the people on board.
Mhm. Was that also at or under budget?
It was under budget, yes,
Mhm.
by quite a bit actually.
Mhm. Do you have any figures on that?
Yes, about $1.8 million in savings.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Excellent. What do you think your greatest strength is?
Leadership. I'm not a manager. I don't like micromanaging. I set up the guidance and the organizational objectives. I deal with my people, let them know where we want to go, and pretty much let them do what they feel is the right thing to do. I watch them from a distance. I'm always there to help them and guide them. If they are off the track, I'll get involved and help them to get back on track. And that has really worked well for me, because the employees, when they feel comfortable, when they have the creativity to do what they really need to do, they go out of their way to make things happen.
Very good. Well, I'd like to tell you, I'm very pleased with the qualifications that I've seen so far. We are interviewing another 4 people for this particular position. Give me an idea of what would make you more qualified than the other people I'd be interviewing.
I'm available immediately. I have the skills. I've done this. I've been there, and I've done all of the requirements that I saw in the job description. I'm very anxious to start. I've done some research on the within the company of what is going on right now, and I'm ready to go.
Well, that's great. Well, yeah, like I said, again, I'm pleased with the qualifications I've seen. Being in your position, you understand that all companies are trying to keep their budgets as low as possible, and with the growth that we're having currently, we're trying to do the same, to manage the growth. Give me an idea what kind of salary that you're looking for the position.
Well, Peter, I've got to tell you that salary is not the main consideration here. I'm looking, as I mentioned, for a strategic partnership in a position that I really feel comfortable with the people I work for and work with, and also for the organization that I can contribute to the bottom line. Compensation is negotiable, and I'm sure that your organization will pay me commensurate with the responsibilities that you would expect of me.
Fujitsu Business Systems is a pretty large corporation as well, and I'm sure they compensate their employees very well. Can you give me an idea of a range that you'd be comfortable with?
Absolutely. If you don't mind, I would postpone that to a later date. At this point in time, I don't really wish that to be an issue, but I will be more than happy to provide that information to you when we pursue this further. And if you're making me an offer, I would be happy to provide you with all that details.
Okay, well, we can look at that at a later time. Well, right now, I don't have anything further at this point. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Well, Peter, I feel very strong about this job, and I feel very strong about the organization, and I know that I can definitely contribute to your organization and to the bottom line, and it seems like it's a pretty good match. When do you think we could have our next meeting?
Well, we do have to interview the other 4 candidates for this position. We'll probably be interviewing them this week, and we should go through a second round of interviews possibly next week or the week after.
That's fair.
Okay. Is there anything else that I can help you with at this point?
Not at this point. Thank you so much for the time.
Okay. Well, Mr. Larijani, I want to thank you very much for coming in.
Okay.
I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much.